Hi, Leslie Nicole here with French Kiss Collections. In part one of this tutorial, I introduced you to a technique I've worked out that I call enhanced transparency, which allows you to use my watercolor spot textures on a colored background and maintain some of the bright tones. In quick review, when you just use the spot texture in multiply mode, it works great and knocks out the white of the texture. That's on normal. And here it is set to multiply, but you do lose some clarity of tones. So what we're doing is we're adding a duplicate of that texture on top, set to normal. We've knocked out the background on that layer. Let me show you real quick. The background's knocked out. We then lower the opacity on the normal blend mode layer until it blends in a little bit better. Here it is at normal, and I've brought it back down a little bit here to about 58%. And then we do some additional masking around the edges with a layer mask. Alright, so now I'm going to break down the technique for you and show you how to use the included masks that come with the collection to knock out the white on that normal layer mode. Okay, so these spot textures come with masks that we're going to use as our layer mask. Alright, so here's our texture opened up. And by the way, you do need to do this process before you place it onto your texture. The reason you want to do this process before you set it into your image document is because once you've placed the watercolor spot texture onto your image document, if you move it at all or if it isn't exactly centered, it's going to be impossible to match up the mask with the texture. Alright, first let's duplicate this layer. And we can do that by doing either Command J or Control J if you're on the PC. Alright, and on that duplicated layer, we're going to add a layer mask. Now, if you hold on your Option key or Alt key on the PC and click on that layer mask, that puts you into the layer mask viewing area, and we can paste directly into that. So come over here to your mask, do Command or Control A to select everything, Command or Control C to copy, go back over here, and Command or Control V to paste. Command or Control D to deselect, and then you hit one more time with Option or Alt on the layer mask to take you back into the regular viewing mode. Okay, now we want to apply that layer mask, and there's different ways to do this. On a Mac, you hold on to Control. On a PC, do right click on the layer mask and do Apply Layer Mask. Now in Elements, what you need to do is do Simplify Layer in your layer panel. This is in Photoshop, so it's not there, but you'll want to select Simplify Layer. Okay, next let's go back down to the background layer and double click that layer to release it from being a background layer. Set it to multiply. It's not a bad idea to link those two textures together. Select both of them holding down the Shift key when you select them, and then down the layer panel, the link icon, just click that. Alright, let's select the Move tool, and selecting both of those layers by holding down Shift key and selecting both layers, you can now drag those two layers over onto your texture layer. Hold down Shift as you drag, and that will center what you've dragged over. Alright. Okay, so once again we're going to find the sweet spot by lowering the opacity on that top layer set to normal. I'm going to go back down here to around 58. Now I'm going to add a layer mask. Go down here and hit the new layer mask icon. I'm going to select my paintbrush and get a really soft brush, pretty large. Keep the opacity very low, about anywhere between 10% and 30%. I'm going to start with 16% there, And then let's bring it a little bit bigger. I'm just going to brush over the edges of the watercolor to make it more transparent. And the reason that's becoming more transparent is that we're painting away the normal layer and revealing more of the multiply layer below. You do want to be careful that you watch that you're not doing anything too extreme so you don't end up having a strange band shown on your watercolor. So you want to build up and maybe zoom out a little bit. I can see I'm maybe going too far in some places, so I'm going to switch my brush to white and brush back over there to bring back some of that area. Alright, I do want to mention why, let's go back to this multiply layer. Why did I leave the multiply layer with the white background? Well, because whenever you apply a mask, it's really difficult not to lose some of the detail. Since that multiply layer doesn't need to be knocked out, I think it's better to just leave it as it is. Okay, so that's the technique, and once you get these simple steps down, you can do it really fast. I mean, literally like, in 30 seconds you could have this technique placed onto your image document. In closing, I want to let you know there are other ways you can use to delete that white background, and I do cover those in the downloadable ebook on the blog.